May Jesus and Mary be loved by all hearts. Venerable Bartholomew Holzhauser is the priest most responsible for the Catholic anticipation of a great leader who will bring about a restoration of society. Quoting him, "The sixth period of time will begin with the powerful monarch, and the empire of the Mohammedans will be broken up by him." And another quote, "He will restore everything." Bartholomew Holzhauser was born in Bavaria in 1613. He served as a parish priest, then founded a community of clerics. It has a long name, but eventually they called it after him, the Bartholomites. He wanted priests who would be models of perfection and serious scholarship. Many seminaries were entrusted to the care of these good priests. Father Holzhauser died in 1658 at the age of 44. His congregation lasted another century until about 1770. Healings were obtained through his intercession, and a petition to Rome resulted in his being declared venerable. In 1646, Father Holzhauser presented 10 visions written in Latin to Ferdinand III, Holy Roman Emperor, and to Maximilian the Great, Duke of Bavaria, together with the explanations that Venerable Holzhauser had given to Father Vervaux, Maximilian's confessor. 200 years later, in 1849, these visions were translated into German by Ludwig Clarus, with his personal commentary showing their partial fulfillment by that era. Venerable Holzhauser also wrote a commentary on the Apocalypse in Latin, Interpretatio Apocalypsis. Likewise, 200 years later, in 1849, these visions were translated into German by the same Ludwig Clarus. While the commentary on the Apocalypse still exists in its original Latin, the original text of the 10 visions seems to have been lost, leaving us only the German translation by the same Ludwig Clarus. Who is this translator, and can we trust his work? Ludwig Clarus is a pseudonym for Wilhelm Volk, a German lawyer who converted from Lutheranism to Catholicism about the age of 50. He was a prolific author, especially on Catholic saints. He lived from 1804 to 1869, and his translations made these apocalyptic commentaries accessible to the laity exactly as the apparition of LaSalette was gaining the attention of Europe. Moreover, this was the century of the stigmatist Marie-Julie Geheny, who also spoke of a great monarch. Writing under a pseudonym was a very common practice in that era. The etymology of Ludwig means a famous or important battle. Clarus is, of course, clear or bright, something very evident. The apocalypse is, above all, a definitive war between good and evil, so Mr. Volk chose to publish under that name. Now here I can only present something from memory. In our large cloister library, I read something some 40 years ago that said that some pope was very perturbed with the man who translated the visions of Father Holzhauser because he interpolated his own ideas and interpretations throughout the work. So now we don't know exactly what was revealed to Father Holzhauser and what's the imagination of Mr. Volk. From that point, I abandoned any thought of studying the great monarch prophecies. Only sporadic quotations of Marie-Julie Geheny's prophecies were in our cloister library. Even today, there is very little available in English. Her prophecies were eagerly disseminated in the Catholic presses of France and suffered a similar adulteration as did the Secret of LaSalette. For the laity, the small, privately owned presses acted as the internet of their day. But after a certain number of copies were distributed, the lead characters in the press were rearranged for another publication. There was no master digital copy. Paper was fragile. Someone would carry a copy to the next town, and a local publisher would take out the juicier segments and rework the story for his own readership. freely inserting his own ideas of how these prophecies might apply to current events. You get the idea. After I received my call to launch the Order of the Mother of God, I had to concentrate on sorting out fact from fiction regarding LaSalette. Now that the authentic texts have been recovered and published in English, I will read to you the segments that refer to a great leader. As Fathers Laurenton and Courtville explain, the children beheld a long, complicated vision which they tried to convey in words for different persons as they felt inspired. Now here is a section from Melanie's Secret written in 1851 and sent to Blessed Pius IX. We have this text now in the Vatican archives, and I'm quoting now directly from the discovery of the Secret of LaSalette. This will all be from chapter 8. This segment is from page 68. If you have the book, you can look at it. A great king will ascend to the throne and will reign for several years. Religion will flourish again and will expand everywhere on earth, and fecundity will be great. The world, happy not to lack anything, will start to go astray again, abandoning God and giving in to evil passions. Among the ministers of God and the spouses of Jesus Christ, there will be some who will surrender to disorder, and that will be the most horrific. Finally, hell will reign on earth, and that will be the time when the Antichrist will be born from a religious, but woe to her. Many people will believe in him because he will claim that he is the one coming from heaven. End quote from that section. This was when her earliest version of The Secret, which she sent to Pope Pius IX. My commentary on this segment, he says, a great monarch reigns for a few years, restoring religion and economic prosperity, evidently a blessing for the whole world. But conversion isn't deep or lasting, so God must go forward with his plans to purge the earth through the reign of a false Messiah. That's pretty clear. I don't think I'm making up anything here. Now, Melanie reluctantly wrote The Secret again for a prelate she didn't trust, so she kept it very brief. And so this is on page 75. I'm just quoting one sentence. She doesn't mention a king or a monarch. There will be 3 years of calm. Then will come the birth and the reign of the Antichrist, which will be more than horrible. So my commentary on this, the birth and reign could be one phrase. Well, it is one phrase here. And when we use the expression, a star is born, we mean that a person has come to the attention of the public, as a child hidden in the womb is now beheld by his family, who sees his face for the first time. So there doesn't have to be a long period of time between birth and reign of the Antichrist. It can really be simultaneous. Now, Melanie wrote the definitive published version of The Secret, and the whole apparition was published with an imprimatur with the encouragement of Pope Leo and, of course, her bishop, and that was around 1879, and she endorsed, and that kept republishing that until her death and beyond. She never changed a word in the next to 1879, that was like 25 years or so. She kept saying, yes, this is exactly it. Okay, this is page 87 and following. She doesn't mention a great monarch in this long version, so I'll just focus on a few phrases. The wicked will indulge in all sorts of sins, but the children of the Holy Church, the children of faith, my true imitators, will grow in the love of God and in the virtues which are dearest to me. And then ellipsis, so I'm skipping ahead. During this time, the Antichrist will be born of a Hebrew nun. Another ellipsis, I'm skipping ahead. The righteous will suffer much. Their prayers, their penance, and their tears will mount to heaven, and all the people of God will ask pardon and mercy, and will ask for my help and intercession. And then Jesus Christ, by an act of his justice and his great mercy for the righteous, will command his angels to put all his enemies to death. Period. A little farther along. Then there will be peace, reconciliation between God and men. Jesus Christ will be served, adored, and glorified. Charity will blossom everywhere. The new kings, plural, will be the right arm of the Holy Church, which will be strong, humble, pious, poor, zealous, imitating the virtues of Jesus Christ. Now, my commentary on this segment. So before the Antichrist, the faithful will have a period of relative calm to grow strong in virtue. The secret doesn't relate the dramatic destruction of the Antichrist after 3.5 years. So we can find all that in the Bible. Instead, the secret suggests that after the Antichrist is destroyed, people will have time to reflect on the chaos and the destruction, and some will repent for cooperating with this evil leader. Then God will cleanse the world in a manner similar to the last plagues of Egypt, 3 days of darkness and the decapitation, as it were, of the leadership of Israel's persecutors through the death of the firstborn of the families of their enemies. Then Melanie mentions new kings. There is nothing to prevent speculation that one or more of these new kings will represent the restoration of the Catholic French monarchy, which began with the Pope's coronation of Charlemagne and the reign of Christendom in Europe, the first reign in the world. So what else does Melanie say? She writes to Canon Alexander de Brandt on December 3rd, 1890. They were very close, and he was hoping to start the order with her. Quote, "Whether we have a republic or a king, we need to be indifferent, as long as this republic or this king walks in justice, truth, and the holy fear of God." Around 1900, just 4 years before her death, Melanie entrusted to Father Emile Combe some thoughts. I'm quoting, you'll find this in the Discovery of LaSalette on page 241. Real peace in the world will only reign after the death of the Antichrist. 2 or 3 brief periods of peace before the Antichrist, one peace after a war. And I wish that this war will not occur. It will be horrible, terrible. Then a short-lived peace. After this time, I have not seen a king on the throne of France, and that does not matter. If France turns herself back to God, God will lift her up and give her a very Christian king. And then after the time of the Antichrist, the gospel of Jesus Christ will be preached in all purity all over the earth. Churches will open again. Kings will be the right arm of the Holy See. There will only be one shepherd and one flock, and charity will reign in all hearts. The world will last for many more centuries. Then charity will cool again, and once again the earth will stop bearing fruit. And Melanie had written to Father Roubaud, September 9th, 1894, these 2 sentences, which I'll quote. I forget, I didn't give the verse in the book. The page number. "Maybe I'm wrong," she says, "but until the fall of the Antichrist into the abode of eternal fire, I don't see a great monarch or a great pope. This does not mean that all popes will not be what they should be in the hands of God and the designs of eternal wisdom, but before this time of great trial for the few chosen, I do not see a lasting, stable, and pure peace." End quote. Now, Maximin also experienced a shorter vision during the apparition of LaSalette. He was younger and basically uninstructed in his baptismal faith. He was never interiorly instructed to make this vision public. Anyone comparing the children's accounts written for the Pope will see the same elements, but Maximin was given far fewer details. As Fathers Laurenton and Courteville remark, the primary visionary was Melanie, and Maximin's important task was to serve as witness to Melanie. So this is an extract from Maximin's Secret, written in 1851 for Blessed Pius IX, which we have on page 66 of the book. "Great troubles will arise in the church and everywhere. Then, after our Holy Father the Pope will be persecuted, his successor will be a pontiff that nobody expects. Then after, a great peace will come, but it will not last long. A beast will come to disturb her." That was a segment without interruptions there. My commentary on Maximin's segment. Great troubles for the church. Well, not to mention a century of communist persecution, Melanie speaks of a frightful crisis in her longer secret which brings to mind the aftermath of the Second Vatican Council. The council presented high ideals for the laity to become evangelizers in the workplace, but Satan presented the temptation of drugs, contraception, and new ways of increasing prosperity. So Maximin says, the Holy Father will be persecuted. And this brings to mind the vision of little Jacinta of Fatima, who saw the Pope alone and weeping. In 1968, Pope St. Paul VI stood firm on the Bible and 2,000 years of church teaching regarding contraception. The uproar by Catholics, lay religious, and clergy was shocking, long-lasting, and earth-shaking. You might be waiting around for some particular pope to be lynched and physically harmed, but this prophecy that a pope will be persecuted was adequately fulfilled in the pontificate of Paul VI. And Maximin says, his successor will be a pontiff that nobody expects. Many are still old enough to remember the bells of St. Peter's and the announcement of a Polish pope with a name nobody could pronounce. The only expected names were Italian, because cardinals have been electing Italians for centuries. St. John Paul was not the immediate successor of Paul VI, but the prophecy only says successor, and he was certainly not expected. Then, after, a great peace will come, but it will not last long. This seems to correspond exactly to what Melanie wrote for the Pope, which we quoted a few minutes ago. A great king will ascend to the throne and will reign for several years. And then Maximin says, a beast will come to disturb her. Maximin didn't use the term Antichrist, but the apocalyptic term a beast or monster. In his vision on LaSalette, he might have been looking at scenes similar to what St. John beheld on Patmos. So according to all our documentation on LaSalette, a great king has a short reign, bringing universal restoration before the monster arrives. Melanie tells her spiritual director that she's indifferent regarding monarchies or republics. Therefore, the great king, the great monarch, might not wear a royal crown. He could be the elected leader of a republic. And this is where I hand the baton to other prophets and other thinkers. There are impressive reasons, including prophecies by Catholics and Protestants, that would connect Donald J. Trump to the great monarch. Rabbi Pastor Jonathan Cahn makes an impressive case that President Trump has a mission almost identical to King Jehu, who was anointed by Elisha the prophet to topple the idolatry of Israel led by King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. Sandra Airey is a Catholic woman who has had some mystical experiences about Donald J. Trump and the great monarch. Knowing that such experiences need to be verified, she has done a lot of personal research on this topic. Friends have helped her build a website, a YouTube channel, and a Rumble channel. If you would like to pursue this, go to Prophecy Alert, that's one word, .site, not .org or .com. ProphecyAlert.site. I'll put that link in the description box, as well as links to 2 videos. One is entitled, Is the Great Monarch Among Us? And the other is St. Malachy's Prophecy on Popes. I don't necessarily know whether to agree with everything, but you're free to pursue it. God bless you.